Hi, David. Oh, sorry, David did not hear things. Lily, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can. Good afternoon from Ghana.
Good afternoon, Lily. Thank you so much for joining before
Right.
time. You see this slide that I'm sharing, correct? I'm not sharing anything.
Okay.
Do you see it well, or?
I see it. IGM 2020 Youth Flash Talks with the Internet
Yes,
Society.
yes,
Yeah.
perfect. Great, thank you. David,
Thank you.
hi, thank you for connecting earlier.
Hello, everyone. Hua Jing Dejiang, that is welcome in Chinese, and maybe you can just tell us how welcome is said in your country in the chat. So today we are going to have the very first of the Flash Talks with an Internet Society expert or an Internet expert, and today we are excited to be speaking with one of them. I'll introduce briefly. But my name is Lily Edina Mboche, and I'm excited to be doing this together with David. David, if you can unmute and tell us about yourself.
Hello everyone, this is David. Nice meeting you all. 欢迎大家，欢迎大家. This is a session that will be hosted by us, and we welcome you all to join the very first Youth Flash Talk with us. And we also have guests here with us today. I'll pass the time back to Lily to introduce our guests of today. Lily, please.
Right. Thank you so much, David, and thank you all. Keep the conversation going in the chat, and we want to make this as interactive and educative as possible. So let me go on to introduce our guest for today, and our guest is Miss Jane Coffin. She's responsible for the Internet Society's Internet Growth Project, and she's also focused on community networks, internet exchange points, interconnection, pairing, and community development, and a new critical project on measuring the health of the internet. Her work also focuses on access and development strategy, where she and other ISO colleagues and partners focus on coordination of collaborative strategies for expanding the internet infrastructure. So without much ado, we want to do this in record time. So Madam Jane Coffin, the floor is yours, and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you, David, Lily, and everyone for the organization. And I know that this is a lightning talk. They've given me 10 minutes, but what I might do is speak even shorter time frame so we can have more questions, live discussion. But thank you for introducing me. I have the pleasure and honor to work at the Internet Society with people all over the world. We are so lucky. And thank goodness for the internet, keeping us together as a lifeline during this complicated period when we normally would be together in a meeting room in some country, Poland, I think this year. But what we're doing is a virtual event, and this is perfect. The Internet Society had to reimagine all its projects this spring, spring for the United States and other Western countries. But in May, June, we had to pivot quickly. Our teams went and put everything online. We do a lot of training and capacity building online, but we had to do more and more and more. And as this topic is about capacity development, it really has been amazing to see how colleagues, partners, and others responded to moving everything online. It hasn't been the easiest thing for some partners, but others, it's been great. The portfolio I manage, which is internet growth, which, as Lily had said, internet exchange points, the communities that sustain them. So IXPs are local internet infrastructure. Some countries don't have them. If you don't have an IXP, your traffic is not cheaper, better, faster, and it's not locally exchanged. And it's much better if you're exchanging your traffic in country among the different ISPs in a neutral way, so that everyone has the same opportunity to exchange traffic in one place, and it makes your internet speeds faster, seemingly, when you're exchanging locally. The key thing is, if you don't have infrastructure, which we've seen with COVID, that makes it all that much harder. So the work we're doing at the Internet Society with our partners, and I want to emphasize partners, is one of them is really important right now. And by talking about partners, we don't ever want to be the single point of failure as a partner, which means that we always want to be reaching out to people across the world like you, to companies, to communities of interest, people who are technically capable or who may not have any technical capabilities but have passion for what they do, that want to help empower their communities. So that's on the internet exchange point at the local level side of building the local internet with partners, but also on the community network side by empowering your communities. You don't have to be a technical expert to build a community network. This has been something that we've been working on with our partners like the Association for Progressive Communications, A4AI, some of you, to actually build local networks to connect people. This is so important in general, but even crazy important right now with COVID. We've seen community networks put up message boards to talk about the importance of protection during COVID. They've been able to give out good advice and to push back on fake news and information in communities. So having a community network is great. In some countries, however, they're not seen as a thing that's legitimate. So a really critical thing that we also do, in addition to encouraging the community networks, we focus on policy and regulatory work. And that's to convince local people how important it is to change the old rules. The old rules, which are old telco rules, which don't help us necessarily do what we're going to do in this new environment. As many of you know, the internet is small, medium, and large networks. It's agile. There aren't single points of failure. So we're looking at ways to adapt the new environments out there from a policy and regulatory, from a financing, and from the local community perspective, so that anyone can help build the local internet. And then measuring the health of the internet, super important. Evidence-based policymaking is the buzzword. And so without data, it's really hard to work with your local consumer groups, the government officials that you need to work with, just even your partners, to show growth, to show change. So we're really all about change. And capacity development is one of the most important parts of what we do across all the projects in the Internet Growth Portfolio, but also everything we're doing at ISOC. And what do we mean by capacity development? It could be a one-on-one session. Someone could reach out and say, hey, I need to understand more. Can you connect me with somebody? It's the human networks. I often say on Twitter, the human nets build the net nets. It really is about connecting each other. Don't ever be afraid about reaching out to anyone in our organization to ask for some help or ask to be networked or introduced. I was helped early on in my career in Washington, D.C. many years ago. I was looking for a job, and after I found that job, someone said to me, now you have to pay it back. You've got to help other people because this is the way things work in Washington, sort of, where it's that network of people that know each other, that introduce people to each other. And you all know this from the work that you do in your organizations about the importance of just linking people together. I can't tell you how many times I've taken 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes just to talk to someone. And people still ask me, Jane, well, you're now at a different level. I'm like, I'm still Jane. I'm still going to talk to people. And it's more important now than ever that we aren't looking at levels and age. We're looking at how we can invigorate each other, learn from each other, and connect each other. And so I'm not going to not spend time with someone just because they're starting out. It's even more important to me to work with people who are just starting out in their careers. So capacity development takes on many different layers. It's you informing me and helping educate me. It's me educating if there's something I can help you with, or if there's someone else I can pass you along to. And it really is all about experience. And I think it's keeping an open mind, really, to just different views, different ideas. I've worked in places like the United Nations and treaty conferences. I've worked in the field in other countries where people may not have thought that. This was a long time ago. In 2002, I ended up in Moldova. It's a small country over near Ukraine, Belarus, and Romania. Not a lot of people know where it is. And someone took a chance on me to come in to help run a project on regulatory reform. I had the best 2 years of my life there because it was all new, it was exciting, but it was change. I was seeing things change on the ground. So that's super important to me, to see how we can make change together. Right now, that may be the most important thing that we're working on, and having your capacity built as new people in the internet governance space or people who are passing along knowledge to others is super important. And how did I get started in internet governance? I wandered into this when I was doing work in the ITU, believe it or not, and this is where you're going to see I'm old. In 1998, I was at the Plenipotentiary Conference of the ITU in Minneapolis. I was super young. And I also was just so excited to meet people from all over the world. And sometimes I wasn't smart enough to figure out that maybe I needed to be careful because I was working for a government at the time. But I was just so happy to be meeting people. I was an exchange student too when I was younger. So I lived in Sweden for a year. I was lucky to get accepted into a program called American Field Service. And so I had a foundation from my parents as well of openness to other cultures. So I was very lucky. But at that plenipotentiary in 1998, I couldn't believe that I was in discussions with senior government officials, and I was not senior, about the internet, but I was passionate and I kept saying, no, we're not going to do that. We will not regulate this thing. And it's not going to be going through just one organization. I didn't even use or know the term multi-stakeholder at the time. And now it's so important that we use that word because we fought really hard to get there. But a funny thing for all of you, when I used the word multi-stakeholder in a country I lived in after Moldova, it was Armenia, they looked at me and they said, Jane, we don't understand the steak business. And I said, sorry? They said, steak. I said, oh my gosh, right. It's a thing you could use to hurt Dracula with wood, right? It's a thing you can put in the ground for your tomatoes. That's what they call them, steaks for the tomato plants, or it's food. And they looked at me and they said, our language does not accommodate that word. And I said, oh boy, we're gonna have to have a long conversation here. So even then in 2004, we were having conversations about what stakeholders were and what multi-stakeholderism meant. But in 98, that word did not exist, but it meant many people and many voices. And so many voices are super important, which means every single person here has something to say that's important to a debate, a discussion, decision-making, and forward progress. And so it really is right now, it's so important to have hope and optimism and to be moving forward. So again, on internet governance, don't let anyone tell you you don't know what that is. I always find this so fascinating for people that have been working in the internet governance space. They were not with me in 1998 at the Plenipotentiary. I was by myself, you know. I was trying to, well, I had other officials working with me in other countries trying to protect an open internet. We didn't even call it that at that time. We were just protecting openness and protecting options. And so it didn't seem, it was a big deal because we could see that there was something trying to close down options with respect to connectivity and the way you would communicate. And so we were trying to keep it open. And I think I didn't have all those fancy words we have now. And there wasn't an internet governance forum, but it was at that meeting in 98 that the Tunisian government put in this proposal for a World Summit on the Information Society. Who knew, right? 98, a long time ago. Some of you guys may not have been born, but the key thing to think about is that things change and they're cumulative. And people are going to have different perspectives depending on when they jumped into the debate. But don't let anyone tell you you don't know, that you don't have a view on this, because you are now informing the new debate. And you can listen to some folks from the past, like me, talk about what we knew, what we were thinking, but really, really most importantly is to keep the open mind. And for all of you to think about what you can contribute, because you can contribute to the debate. And right now, I'm finding that so many governments and other partners are so willing to be online if people are able to discuss online. So listen, I'm going to stop talking at you. I'd rather talk with you. But just know that I was there way back on some of these discussions. Nobody was telling me what I could and couldn't say on the words, right? And so this internet governance idea has taken form and shape over many years, and it will continue to change. And all of you are going to be part of that powerful movement of people helping us figure out what the next phase is of this discussion. So thank you for your time, and thanks for having me here. I know this is a short period of time. It's a flash lightning, so I will be quiet. Let's do some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. And I guess this is the time for us to having the Q&A session, and me and Lily will dropping down some notes from the chat room. So please feel free to share your thoughts or any ideas in the chat room, and we will be consolidate those. And at the same time, please feel free to raise your hands, and we will pass the mic to you to ask a question. I think this session will be mainly talking about maybe sharing some of our own experience on capacity building among youth, as well as some challenges we are facing right now. So please feel free to raise the questions here. But I would just like to take the chance to be the moderator to ask the very first question to kick started. From my past experience working with the youth in China, especially of course, the China program is that we engage a group of young students in secondary school and also in primary schools. They are acting as a youth researcher to search on internet governance topic, but there's mainly content in Chinese. So the question is that if we would like to join a global discussion, language barriers is always a challenge for a particular group of people. So is there any other way, or is there any things we can do in order to facilitate the discussion process and eliminate those language barriers? So this is my question right now. And my thoughts here, we also welcome the other thoughts from you all. So please feel free to leave your comments in the chat as well.
Thank you very much for the question. And you've brought up a very important point about language. We have colleagues at the Internet Society that are speak many different languages around the world. So you're welcome to ask us to open up a forum in the region on the topic. My colleague Rajneesh Singh, who's our regional vice president, does not speak Mandarin or Cantonese, but he certainly does know people, and we have staff that do. But also you'll find that, and I saw Chenkatai on the call earlier, there are ways that we could open up informal dialogues and debates. We also have different chapters around the world. I don't know if we have one right now in China, but we certainly do know different organizations there, and you could come back to us to help open that debate. There's a great group called DigiGrassroots as well, with a youth movement. And you could encourage us and let us know and give us feedback, actually, in any organization you're working with, about this important topic of how to get together, how to speak more in local languages so that there's more knowledge and skills transfer and capacity development. It really is about building this broad base of the pyramid of knowledge and experience that will help cumulatively, almost exponentially, help grow more people who can have that debate at the local level. We often find that the local is super, super important. So thank you for what you're doing, David.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we also saw there's a question can be raised from Jora. So Jora, please unmute yourself and you have the mic.
Thank you, David. So thank you, Jane. I think one thing you raised when talking about the history of internet governance, that the awareness about IG changed in the years, but I would like to know how the people changed. The groups that were discussing internet governance changed in the last few years.
It's a really, and I think, I hope I don't say your name wrong, it's Zhuo, yeah? Thank you for the question. People have changed. The United Nations has been critical to this debate in allowing multi-stakeholders in their different organizations. Different governments have changed their philosophy on bringing not only, say, advisors from different companies onto their delegations in some of these key different meetings, say in the ITU, but also civil society. The Internet Society has taken some of our chapter representatives to meetings as well, but you'll see that governments have opened up. Now, it takes some time, but we have seen change over time. I will say that Article 19, APC, and others were able to sit on country delegations. Some of our chapter folks were also able to sit on country delegations. It depends, I believe, over time on that trust building with each other. But I have seen change in the United Nations, opening more and more to stakeholders. You've got a tech envoy conversation going on right now. That's new. And that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. And I really do believe, from my experience in both government and industry, that seeing the progress that civil society is making, it's slow, but it's there. And also that we are invited to different meetings as participants and experts. Don't lose hope. It's been amazing to see how civil society and the technical community have been invited. So the debate has changed. Also, the youth voices that were in João Pessoa and the IGF and Forward, I would even say from 2016 or 2015, I've seen change in the IGF itself. It's really great to see.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, there's a lots of things in progress, and we have to move step by step and write with the community. And there's another guest saying that we should be proud of ourselves to getting involved, and this is a very crucial step to move the things forward. So, yep.
So,
I
Anya wants to say something.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much, Jane. I think what we wanted to do is really create this intimate, direct, friendly atmosphere where young people, which are our future leaders and experts, can speak to those that already have knowledge and experience in expertise, internet governance. So this is an excellent session. But I do think, and I want to especially thank you for bringing it down to a personal level. I think that's very important, because this is a huge community speaking from the experience. When you come as a young person, can be also intimidating, especially if you're coming. I've heard some views. If you're coming from smaller countries, you mention some countries, sometimes you need to explain to someone where is that country. So I think when you actually create this type of an atmosphere, it really long-term can help. I wanted to ask one specific question, and I'm not going to take a lot of time. I see Deborah and Noha have questions. It is about building the capacity on local levels through formal education. That's something that I've been at some time back in past as a young student, always had a sort of criticism toward the traditional educational systems, because I think as an internet user, it's really whatever happens online really affects you. But through your educational system, you don't really have opportunity to focus at all on digital policy in many countries. And I don't distinguish here between developing and developed countries. I still think that's a pattern, unfortunately, that's present. So my question to you would be, how can those that are not traditionally assigned the role to educate us through formal systems can help those on local levels? And I particularly mean on those that are marginalized and vulnerable, such, for example, as those that do not live in capitals of certain countries, that live in remote areas and rural areas. Thank you.
This is a great question, and it's one we work on every day with how to reach people in rural, remote, and underserved and disadvantaged communities. I think this takes a movement of many of us coming together to, whether it's Diplo, who does wonderful training, some of the governance courses we actually have online as well. And I know anyone here, you and Chenkatai could put a podcast together. I think what we need to do is look at low bandwidth options. So that would be voice, mostly the podcasts, ways to videotape people to talk about experience, so that people can go in as they choose in a non-traditional way, because the internet has grown in a non-traditional way, and the IGF has grown in leaps and bounds as well, differently. But I think if we're going to reach people, we have to actively go out, find some of these people. I know colleagues in Tanzania are tuning in today to the IGF, and they've come together in Dodoma in one center, and that's due to the efforts of a WhatsApp group of a fellow we know there. So I think you have to find your local champions, many of whom are on this call. You guys are the future of all of you are the future of not only the internet, but in many of your countries, the future of governance. Find the people who are disadvantaged, reach out as much as you can at the local grassroots level, bring people into the conversation, invigorate them and empower them, but also find trusted sources of information and ask some of those trusted sources to create a series for you of podcasts or of videos. We're trying to do this with some of the training we do now, is tell those the case studies, but they're virtual case studies. And then maybe some of the universities will catch up. I know there are some in the US and in Europe. And of course, there's the internet governance training that Wolfgang does every summer. Maybe there's a way we can help amplify that training and scale it, Anya. So it's a really good idea and a good question. I don't have all the answers, but some of the answers may be here with the team.
Yeah, thank you for addressing this. And as you mentioned also about the non-traditional way, I guess for this time is also a very non-traditional way of IGF. We are having people just connect to your internet in a Zoom manner. So this is a very crucial part. Actually, another round of raising hands from the floor. May we have, sorry if I pronounce the name incorrectly, may we have Deborah to be the next one to raise the question, and followed by that will be Noha. Deborah, we can't hear from you.
Can't hear you, Deborah. We see that you're speaking.
Yeah.
Maybe Noha, while Deborah fixes her audio or writes in the chat.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I will be really brief because Anya already covered with your question some of the things I wanted to ask as well. Because like here at IGF, actually 2 days ago, I heard about participation and fighting exclusion, a comment that I think it's really relevant when it comes to young people, because it was saying that we have different steps. We have, when we're speaking about governance and participation, we have diversity. So when at a table, there are different people from different parts of the society, from different groups. Then we have inclusion, when those people actually can have a voice. And then there is belonging. And I think it's something that we should aim for. So we are not just part of the discussion of internet governance, but we should feel like we belong to what are the dialogues and the discussion around internet governance. So you already mentioned the fact that we may need more trainings and more means and tools to allow accessibility also to those parts of the population that live in disadvantaged areas, countries that have less means. But what do you think about changing also the mindset about the fact that this idea of belonging could be fostered more by thinking of access as a human right? So, that internet should be as something common and public. So it's also our interest to take care of it. So to acquire those means and those educational, so those knowledge tools we would need to increase our chance to meaningfully participate in these dialogues. So it's needed also when it comes to policies, maybe a change also in the language we use when we talk about regulating the internet, connecting more with rights, with the, when we talk about accessibility, so it goes, of course, not just with young people, but people with disabilities, also people from marginalized group and so on. And because again, I really like this idea of belonging. So how would you foster more into this sense, making it stronger as a statement, the fact that we need to belong to these kind of speeches? I hope the question was clear. Sorry, I speak a lot because I'm Italian, but thank you, and hello everyone.
And I'm just mindful of the time. I would say the way to feel that you belong is to find the group or create a group that you can work with to create change, whether it's participating in the IGF online now, it's working inside your government or with others to do something. I won't comment on the human rights angle with respect to connectivity, but I will say this: know your local environment with your government officials and your local officials. Some government officials are a little, they get a little anxious when you try and make something a human right because they can't accommodate it in their local laws. So find a way to do that, because there are ways. There's always another option. So figure out how to work with different groups and who we call them birds of a feather, who the birds are that you would associate with. Find your place, and then you can work together. You can make great change together. I found my place in different organizations. It's creating your bigger human network.
Yeah, thank you for that. And be aware of the time. Sorry, it's that we still have one more question right now, and I will say Nora will be the last one. And please do feel free to leave the question in the chat box, and we'll find a way to address those. Nora, you have the floor.
Thanks, David. My name is Noha, and I'm a steering committee member at the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. I would like to thank Anya for organizing the Flash network sessions for youth. And I would like to thank Jane as well for joining us today. Jane, I was pleased to meet you at my first IGF, and I remember your encouraging words for me. Thank you so much. My input, I guess, will be very much related to what Anya and Deborah have mentioned. Actually, I come from a region where the internet governance is mainly dominated by governments. So as a natural result, we have a lack of awareness about what internet governance is, and we have an underrepresentation from youth. So I was wondering how we can tackle this. I understand that we can get engaged on the global level. I'm engaged on the global level, but what's next? I want to influence the policy making on the national level, but it's very hard, to be honest.
So there's a person that I need to introduce you to, Nermeen Al-Sadani from Egypt, who is our Middle East regional vice president. Amazing human, worked for the government of Egypt for many years, and she is an unbelievable person, and she's done great work on internet governance, and she knows how to work at it from the governance side with government, and also from now as a civil society technical community. So Noha, I know it can be very hard, but there are definitely ways that we could also figure out if there's a youth coalition that Nermeen wants to bring together across different countries. And working through all the other coalitions so that it is a joining of the coalitions.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
I agree. Thank you, Jane.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. And be aware of the time. We just want to know if there any very last word from Jane you would like to share with us. Please take the floor to use the chance. And thank you so much for others to join us today. And I will pass the mic to Jane to share more few words.
Thank you very much, David. And I would say join some of the other sessions for the IGF. Keep your mind open when you're hearing different things that you may or may not agree with. Think of ways that you can create change. Reach out to any of us, to me, Anya, Chenkatai, and others to find ways that we can build bigger coalitions with you and to help introduce you to people. What you have to say is very important. Every voice does matter. And connectivity is a right, I believe personally. That's a personal opinion. And don't give up.
Right. Thank you so much. Thanks all for joining. It's been insightful, and like we know, we're all connected on the internet and we are more or less netizens now. And this is the reason why our voice matters, and this is why everyone has to talk and be a part of it. So thank you all for joining. There are many more sessions, and look out for many flash ones like this, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lily and David.
Photo?
I actually did, but you can all do.
Let's become pose for one now. So everybody can put on your video and let's pose for a camera. Anything that stands out for you. Happy to see familiar faces and thank to everyone. You ready for the photo? Who's taking it?
Okay, let me do that, but I advise that others follow. It's always good to have a backup.
Yeah, I will also take one.
Okay, I did.
Okay,
David, as well.
1, 2, 3.
Right, thank you. So tweet what you've learned, get more people knowing about what we discussed today and keep the conversation active. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy all the other sessions. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.